I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. This story is narrated by Death. Not a villain, not a monster, just Death. Quiet, tired, and surprisingly human. And Death says this: I have seen millions of souls leave this world, but there is one I cannot forget. A little girl, a book thief. A girl who found salvation in words in the middle of the most devastating war the world has ever known. This is the story of Liesel Meminger, a girl who stole books, not for money, not for power, but because words were the only thing keeping her alive. This is The Book Thief. It is 1939, Germany. Adolf Hitler has risen to power. The world is on the edge of war, and ordinary people, farmers, teachers, bakers, children, are being swept up in something enormous and terrible. Liesel Meminger is 9 years old. She is traveling by train with her mother and her younger brother Werner. They are going somewhere. Liesel doesn't fully understand where or why, but then Werner dies on the train. Just like that. Quietly, gone. They bury him in a small town cemetery, and in the snow beside his grave, Liesel finds something. A book. She cannot read. She doesn't even know what it is exactly, but she picks it up anyway. It is called The Grave Digger's Handbook, her first stolen book. Her mother cannot keep her, so Liesel is taken to a foster family in a small town called Molching on a street called Himmel Street, which means Heaven Street. Her new father is Hans Hubermann, a tall, gentle man with silver eyes and an accordion he plays on quiet evenings. Her new mother is Rosa Hubermann, loud, sharp-tongued, always scolding. But underneath the harshness, a woman with a fierce, protective love. Liesel does not want to be here. She misses her mother. She misses Werner, but Hans sits with her every night, and he makes her a promise. I will teach you to read. And so begins everything. Hans teaches Liesel in the basement. Every night they write words on the basement wall. Letters, sentences, stories. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, Liesel learns to read. And once she starts, she cannot stop. She reads everything she can find, but books are expensive and the Hubermans are poor. So Liesel steals them. From a bonfire where the Nazi party burns books, she snatches one from the flames. From the library of the mayor's wife, a sad, quiet woman named Ilse Hermann, Liesel climbs through the window and takes books one by one. But Ilse knows, and she lets her. Because Ilse sees something in this girl, a hunger for words that she recognizes, a need for stories that goes beyond entertainment. Words, for Liesel, are survival. Meanwhile, the world outside is growing darker. Jewish businesses are being destroyed. People are disappearing. The word Jew is being spoken like a curse. And then, one night, a stranger knocks on the Hubermans' door. His name is Max Vandenburg. He is Jewish. He is young. He is terrified. And Hans Hubermann owes his life to Max's father, a Jewish man who saved Hans during the First World War. So Hans makes a decision that could get his entire family killed. He hides Max in the basement. For months, Max lives in the darkness below the Hubermann house. He sleeps on a mattress. He eats what little they can spare. He never sees sunlight. But he and Liesel form a bond unlike anything either of them has ever known. They are both survivors of loss, both clinging to life by their fingernails. Max draws her stories, little illustrated books made from pages he paints over with white paint. Stories about words and fists and dreams and survival. He writes her one called The Standover Man and another called The Word Shaker, about a girl whose words grow into trees so tall they reach the clouds. About how words can be more powerful than armies. Liesel reads to him on nights when the nightmares come. And in the cold, dark basement of Himmel Street, two lost people find something that feels almost like home. But the war does not stay outside. It creeps in. Under the door, through the radio, in the faces of neighbors who disappear overnight. Jewish people are marched through the streets of Molching, humiliated, beaten, broken, on their way to concentration camps. Hans, unable to stand it, steps forward and gives bread to an old Jewish man being marched past. It is an act of pure human kindness, and it nearly destroys everything. Hans is reported. He is not arrested, but the Nazi Party sends him away to serve in the war, far from home. Rosa is left alone with Liesel, and Max, knowing that his presence puts the family in even greater danger, makes a heartbreaking decision. He leaves, in the middle of the night, without saying goodbye. Liesel wakes up and he is simply gone. She searches for him in the marches of Jewish prisoners that pass through town. She scans every face, every pair of eyes, and one day, she finds him, broken, thin, barely standing. She runs to him. She walks beside him. She holds his hand for as long as she can before the soldiers push her away. "Max!" she calls after him. He turns. He sees her. And then he is gone again, into the crowd, into the darkness. Liesel stands in the street and screams. Not words, just sound. Pure grief. Liesel goes to the basement and she begins to write. Not someone else's story, her own. She writes about Hans and his accordion, about Rosa and her sharp words and her soft heart, about Rudy, her best friend, the boy next door who always asks her for a kiss and never gets one, about Max and his painted books and his quiet courage. She writes about Himmel Street, about heaven. She calls it the book thief. She writes in the basement while the world above her trembles. And then, one night, the air raid sirens stop screaming, and something else begins. The bombs fall on Himmel Street. Death arrives, and death collects everyone. Rosa, Hans, Rudy, the neighbors, the friends, the enemies, everyone who ever walked on Heaven Street. Everyone. Except Liesel. She is in the basement when it happens, still writing, still surrounded by words. And when she crawls out of the rubble, there is nothing left. She finds Hans first, his silver eyes closed forever. She finds Rosa, the woman who scolded her every day and loved her fiercely every moment. She finds Rudy, her best friend, the boy who always wanted one kiss. She kisses him now, for the first time and the last. Death watches all of this, and even death is moved. "I am haunted by humans," Death says quietly. Liesel is pulled away from the rubble by strangers. She has nothing, no family, no home, no street. Just a book, her book, rescued from the ruins, her words still intact. Liesel goes to live with Ilse Hermann, the mayor's wife, the woman who let her steal books, the woman who always knew. She grows up. She becomes a woman. She moves to Australia. She marries. She has children and grandchildren. She lives a long, full life. And one day, when death finally comes for Liesel Meminger, death is ready, but also reluctant, because of all the souls death has ever collected in wars, in disasters, in quiet rooms and loud streets. Liesel is the one that stays. The book thief, the girl who found power in words when the world had taken everything else. And Max? Max survives the camps. After the war, he finds Liesel. They hold each other on a street that is not Himmel Street, but for one moment, it feels like it could be. The Book Thief is not just a story about World War II. It is a story about the power of words, about how a story, a single book, can keep a person alive when everything else is trying to destroy them. Markus Zusak wrote this book as a tribute to his parents, who lived through this era in Germany and Austria and carried those memories their whole lives. And he chose death as narrator to remind us of something important. Even death is moved by human courage. Even death cannot forget the ones who chose love over hatred, words over silence, life over despair. If this story moved you, please subscribe, share this video, and tell me in the comments which novel you want me to cover next. Until then, keep reading. Keep stealing books if you have to. Liesel would approve.